Hi, Nadia. Good to have you with me here today for this episode of the India Global Business. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be able to chat.
For the benefit of our viewers, I have with me Nadia Sood, who is the co-founder of Credit Enable, a fintech company which is doing strides, a multi-award winning startup, which has been awarded as the UK India Fintech Startup 2020 as well. So there would be a lot that I would want to hear from you, Nadia. So why don't you start talking about the company, the idea where it all came from, and what you guys been up to?
Sure, thank you so much. So as you said, Credit Enable is a fintech startup. We basically have built a platform that makes it much more easy to borrow and to lend if you're an SME borrower or an SME lender. And why is that really necessary today globally and also in India is that there's a massive mismatch between demand and supply for credit. So whereas consumer credit has become highly digitized, corporate credit has become highly digitized, SME credit is still lagging behind. And the result of which is that in places like India, there's a massive credit gap. About $1 trillion of credit, almost close to $1 trillion of credit, goes to SMEs from the informal market where they pay up to 200% interest. And they really should be getting that debt from formal financial institutions. And we exist to help make that happen so that both the parties in the ecosystem benefit.
And I think you have hit the sweet spot when you said that you guys are helping SMEs get the right finance at the right price, because that is definitely a gap that was that needed addressing, and you guys have actually addressed it. You mentioned about SMEs in India, and Credit Enable is now present in India as well, other than being headquartered in the UK. So how has the journey been? What's your plan for India? Talk us more about what India is like for you.
Sure. So we entered the Indian market in 2018. We set ourselves up here in 2017. And why did we enter the Indian market? It was an exciting market because of just the sheer size, sheer number of SMEs, sheer number of lenders, growth economy, but also huge inefficiencies in the market. And so we saw an opportunity to bring our technology platform there, to take the process, which globally, unfortunately, takes about 6 to 8 weeks for an SME to receive an answer from a formal financial institution about their loan, most of whom are unsuccessful because on average, lenders will look at 100 loan applications and they'll only underwrite 10. So you can see how, the efforts that SMEs are putting in to try to find the loan are substantial and their success rate is very low. And we knew that we could transform the market in India by bringing technology in to make that meeting between the two parties more efficient. Obviously, growth economy, so many SMEs, so many lenders made that very attractive. Little did we know, of course, that we would be then facing a pandemic, which has been a very interesting ride for us because the economy, which was, I would say, highly digitized on the one end in terms of mobile phone penetration, but still quite physical in terms of most other activities, has undergone a rapid transformation. And we've moved squarely into a place where India has truly become phygital. It's not yet digital, but It's gone to phygital, and that's very exciting. And I'm quite confident it's going to be moving very rapidly more and more into digital, which makes platforms like ours all the more important and useful, and we can leverage that really substantially.
No, you hit the nail on the head when you said that India is a phygital economy, if I may say, because as you said, the mobile penetrations has been really good. But when it comes to technology and use of technology, still people are just about there, and SMEs for that matter, because they are still not sure about the security aspect of things when it comes to transactions and stuff, which is now getting there. India is progressing quite rapidly, and they are making a lot of changes in that as well. But that also brings me to a question about challenges, because India is a market which is quite complex, as people know. And as you experience, it was quite different when you go to the market. Of course, it does not change the opportunities that it presents, but there are challenges. Are there any such challenges that you came across, or how did you overcome these? And is it something that you think could have been done better?
Yes, of course. I mean, there are huge challenges and with that come huge opportunities. But as you said, the first issue is that although people use mobile phones, they're not necessarily comfortable with technology, and they were even less so before COVID. Of course, COVID forced a mentality change. So people were forced to go online. They had to start to transact online. They had to start sharing information online, which they hadn't been doing before. And as they become more comfortable, more and more of them are doing it. Obviously, in India, we work with more than 25 pan-Indian lenders, most of the big banks, most of the big NBFCs, the digital marketplaces for lending, the digital lenders, the small finance banks. So we're across the country trying to help SMEs everywhere. And SMEs are not all the same. Some are more comfortable with digitization, some are less comfortable. Some of the lenders have digitized faster than others. So you still have a lot of mismatch and not a sort of standard set of protocols across the industry either, which complicates the life of everyone. So for us, the huge opportunity is for India to move more into a UK model in terms of the overarching architecture that the government puts down to allow for the transfer of data that's efficient, but also, of course, protects the individual and the SME. So things like open banking, which have really taken root in the UK, and of course, really accelerated because of COVID in terms of adoption, we would like to see coming in more aggressively in India, because this will help unlock financing for people, which is critical to India's GDP growth.
And you did touch upon the point that the SMEs are now accepting digitalization, and there's a lot that they're trying to learn.
Yes.
And that brings me to a question about the need for training, the need for learning.
Yes.
Do you see that as an opportunity, and would you as a company look at doing something on those lines as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually core to our ethos that when an SME contacts our platform and says, I need a loan, the first thing we're trying to achieve for them is the same experience that you get when you need a car and you call for an Ola cab in India or an Uber, and that car just gets delivered to you and takes you where you need to go. And the stress and the hassle of identifying the right car and negotiating with the car to come is all gone. We're trying to achieve that for the SME in terms of their ability to get debt. And why is that useful to them? It makes their life easier. They don't have to spend so much time. They can focus on their core business. And likewise for the lender, they don't have to waste time trying to underwrite loans that aren't a match for them. And they know exactly who to deal with, and they can get the loan out to them quickly. So we were able to, in full lockdown in India, get loans dispersed the same day, which for business loans above 20 lakhs, which this is quite unheard of in most economies. That said, to get the SME into a position where the lender is able to underwrite them takes quite a lot of effort, and they are significantly undereducated in both the practices of the lender, the reasons why the lender is taking them through a certain process, and also in terms of their own financial savviness. So for example, the way in which they manage their cash flow, the way in which they manage their suppliers, there are levels of discipline that they don't necessarily understand, and where we try to educate them digitally by explaining to them, here are things you can do to change some small things in the way you're running your business that will fundamentally positively impact on your bottom line. And then of course, will allow you to then secure that loan at a lower rate. So part of our ethos is not just leaving you by the wayside if today we can't get you a loan, but helping you to understand how to improve your credit profile, what steps to take. And then if you're able to do those within a relatively short period of time, normally we can help you get that financing that you need to grow. So of course, not leaving companies on the wayside and helping them to really understand their financial position and how they can improve. And this is critical. And I think worldwide, financial institutions and governments largely fail in this exercise because they tend to speak in very macro level terms with small business owners. For example, they'll say things like, you should get your accounts in order. You should file your accounts correctly. Well, if I go to a chartered accountant, then I just assume that my accounts are being filed correctly. But in fact,
Absolutely.
for many financial institutions, they won't accept those accounts because they're not filed in a certain format. So
Agreed.
giving them very specific, concrete advice is what's fundamentally missing in this segment of the market. And we are prepared to do that. We do that every day. But yes, absolutely, it's critical to moving the needle and getting more people access to finance.
That's a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. As you rightly said, that as an SME or as a business owner, I know my business. I can't know more about how financial institutions operate, and educating them about these things and getting these fundamentals right before going in for a loan helps them get the loan at a decent time and within a rate of interest which would be suitable to them as well. And that's a fantastic piece of work that you guys do. Um, Having talked about what you guys have been doing, what you guys are doing currently to help SMEs as well, what does the future look like? Where do you see the company go 5 years hence? And is there any more services that you would want to add as part of your profile?
Absolutely. So of course, India is going to be very critical to our growth, and we have very aggressive growth plans for India. As I said, we already work with more than 25 lenders, but we're expanding our lender base. I'm particularly interested in expanding our lender base to include lenders who service smaller companies and in more remote locations like tier 4 cities, tier 3 and tier 4 cities, where there is very significant growth going to happen in the economy. And obviously those companies are going to need financing. We already operate very much across tier 1 and 2 tier cities with our lender partners, but of course, as the economy grows, we want to be in those places helping those SMEs too. Secondly, in line with the whole ethos of being a true partner to the SME, finance is the way that we start the engagement with them because it's something that they need immediately, but they need lots of other things as they mature as a business. They need services to keep themselves compliant. They need other financing vehicles. They need insurance. And so we'll be looking to help them avail of anything that's going to allow them to become really truly successful in their growth story over a period of time. So yes, we'll be introducing new products, including products that help them become more educated in our quest just to make SMEs really be able to achieve that dream that they set out to do. And of course, if you look globally, they are the most significant contributors to GDP. So if they grow, the whole world is going to benefit from that.
So you did mention about the success you had so far in India. Any key highlights that you would want to talk about in your India journey so far?
Sure, there are three I'll mention. One, of course, is we were on a quest to partner with as many institutions as we could to get to the largest reach possible and to get in front of as many SMEs as possible. So I'm really delighted that we were able to sign a strategic partnership with Flipkart, which obviously has a very vast seller base of 300,000 SMEs, and we're helping them to avail of affordable finance. And as of today, we've also just signed a strategic partnership with LendingKart, which is the NBFC in India that has the largest footprint in the country. And as they're looking again to expand into those more remote locations, we'll be going alongside them to help them do that. So very excited about both the reach and in terms of the penetration into those smaller cities. But the third highlight I'd like to just mention is that some anecdotal highlights around some of our borrowers that, during the full lockdowns in India, we were able to deliver loans to places like Nagaland, where people were producing PPE equipment and keeping the country safe. We were able to finance women entrepreneurs who are bringing EdTech into tier 3 cities across India. And we got them loans on the same day that they applied and the cash was in their bank. Can you imagine the impact that has
Sure.
when the entire economy is at a standstill? So those are my highlights, that we were able to contribute in a small way to helping those people actually grow and keep everybody safe.
No, I think these three highlights that you mentioned actually shows that you have got the pulse of the Indian market, right? You know where people need help when it's required. You've been able to deliver those. And I'm sure with these already in place and the work that you guys are doing and wanting to do in future, you guys would have a nice growth plan coming up in India, and you'd have good growth in India as well, not to mention here in the UK itself and globally where you want to be. Thank you so much for this lovely interview today. And I wish you all the best for this.
Thank you so much. It was a delight, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again soon.